me to this momentous event of 8-day national level workshop on research in higher education. From all over the country, from different walks of life, you have come here to share your knowledge and vast experience with us. We courteously welcome you all. To enlighten the ignition of the event, we would like to begin with a prayer.
ഈ സ്ത്രീലിന്റെ അടുത്ത് പറ കിട്ടിയിട്ടില്ല എന്ത് കിട്ടി.
Now, I invite Dr. A. Vijay Chitra, Organizing Secretary and Associate Professor, Department of Microbiology, to give a brief introduction about the workshop.
Good afternoon, everyone. Respected principal, all the esteemed guests, heads of the departments, faculty members, and all the participants from various universities and institutes who have joined for the inaugural session of this 8-day national level workshop on research in higher education institutions. The aim of this workshop is to promote various research aspects and practices, involve the creation of research attitudes, and to foster innovation and skill development. This program is planned from 11th today to 19th of August 2021 with live sessions by eminent resource persons from India and abroad. The workshop, it focuses on tools for academic research, guidelines for writing thesis, the role of assessments on research, teaching, student learning, writing research proposals, IPR, fellowship program, and promoting scientific research that will help postgraduate students, researchers, and academicians to enrich their knowledge. The expected outcome of this 8-day workshop, it is to make the participants able to transform new ideas into valuable solutions, considering the impact of developing leadership, team building, as well creativity competencies to work in higher educational institutions. The participants will receive an e-certificate after completion of 80% of this workshop sessions. So there is a lot to offer, and I'm sure that the participants will learn a lot from this workshop, and we definitely will look forward to the exciting discussion after the sessions are over and on to learn about the latest research tools and developments that is ongoing in the field. So I wish you all a happy learning and a very good knowledge, creativity after completion of this workshop. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you, ma'am. And next to the welcome address, I invite Dr. Ravi M.A., Convener, Research and Development Cell, and Assistant Professor, Department of Biochemistry.
Good afternoon and warm welcome to you all for the 8-day national level workshop on research in higher education. It's my pleasure and honor to welcome our beloved principal, Dr. M. Ilankovan, who is always motivating and supporting us to organize this type of programs. I welcome you, sir. I take this opportunity to welcome our resource person, Dr. K. Ramasamy, librarian, M.V. Muthaiya, Government Arts College for Women, Dindigul, for taking the time out of his busy schedule to deliver a lecture on online tools and resources for academic research. I welcome you, sir. I am happy to welcome all the faculty members, research scholars, and postgraduate students who are connected with us from all over the country. Welcome you all. I extend a warm welcome to the heads and faculty members of SNGC for their continuous support and cooperation. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you, ma'am. And to proceed with the event, I invite Dr. Shashirekha S., Associate Professor and Head, Department of Business Administration, for the introduction of the resource person.
Good afternoon, all. Education is the passport to the future, for tomorrow belongs to those who prepare for it today. I am profusely overjoyed to take the opportunity to introduce our chief guest of the day, Dr. K. Ramasamy, MCom, MLISC, PhD. He has completed his UG and PG degree in library science in Gandhigram University. He got 3 gold medals while pursuing UG degree, and also he is a university rank holder in his UG and PG. He served as a librarian in KVS around Kerala, Karnataka, and Tamil Nadu. At present, he is working as a librarian in M.V. Muthaiya Government Arts College for Women, Dindigul. He had 16.5 years of experience as school librarian and more than 7 years of experience as a college librarian. He had developed 12 academic blogs, including one library blog with 40 lakhs visitors. And also he published 5 books in library and information science. He has published more than 90 articles in national and international conferences and seminars. And also he published more than 70 articles in referred national and international journals. He had won 7 Best Paper Awards in various LIC conferences. He has contributed more than 70 book chapters in edited books. He had prepared course materials for Sri Lankan Open University. He has completed his minor research project in Tamil Nadu State Council for Higher Education in Chennai 2018. He had delivered more than 100 face-to-face special lectures at different venues for different set of audience. And also he delivered more than 60 online video lectures in the state, national and international level webinars, online faculty development programs and online courses. He had organized 4 state level seminars and 1 international seminar. And also he had organized 2 national webinars and 6 state level webinars. He acted as a course coordinator for 3 days online course on statistical analysis using SPSS conducted by Maya's research group in May 2020. He acted as resource person for 8 All India service courses held at JET Mysore. He also a review board member in LIS journals and editor board member of a multidisciplinary journal. He is an associate editor of a conference volume and associate editor of 3 edited books and also editor of 2 edited books. He had delivered a radio talk on National Librarians Day on 2007. He has won KVS Regional Incentive Award from KVS RO Chennai 2012. And he won many awards like Best Librarian Award, Kalvi Ratna Award from Aram Anbin Adayalam Trust and Reach Media, Tamil Nadu and Edge India Times, 4-star award for excellence in research by Edge India Publishing Private Limited on 15th November 2020. He also cleared JRF for 2 times, UGC NET 6 times, state eligibility test 1 time. He is also a member of ILA, KLA, etc. and IASLIC. He served as a session reporter, session chairperson, and conference reporter in many conferences and seminars. He has organized more than 20 scout camps in South India for KVS. His favorite areas are blogs, institutional repositories, metric studies, user studies, and open source softwares. He's a master trainer in Intel Teach to the Future program and KVS EduTech program. His additional responsibilities like member in NAC Autonomous and Building Committee of MB Muthaiya Government Arts College for Women, Dindigul. And also he's a deputy coordinator of IKAC. He is multi-talented person with a number of achievements. His achievements are uncountable. Once again, welcome you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. For beginning the session with of day 1, I invite Dr. K. Ramaswamy, librarian, MVM Government Arts College for Women, Dindigul, to enlighten us on the topic, online tools and resources for academic research. On to you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, my PPT is visible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. It's visible, sir.
Okay, my voice is audible?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. The most respected and honorable principal of Sri Narayana Guru College, Coimbatore, the faculty members, the organizing committee, and organizing committee members of Research and Development Cell, which takes care of conducting this 8-day national level workshop on research and higher education institutions, the faculty members, research scholars, and students of Sri Narayana Guru College, and the faculty members, research scholars, and students of other institutions. Very, very pleasant and joyful afternoon to each and every one of you. It gives me immense pleasure to be a part of this 8-day national workshop. At the outset, let me take this opportunity to thank the management for having given me this wonderful opportunity of meeting you all in this online forum. And also, I take this opportunity to congratulate the college and especially the Research and Development Cell for having taken this initiative of enlightening the participants on the trends of research taking place in higher education institutions. So let me begin my presentation. Yes, you can just happen to see these pictures, what you normally see in our daily routine activities, what happens in our society, what happens in our family, and how things go on in a public place. Yes. So when you happen to see all these pictures, naturally you are interested to do something. You are getting curious to ask yourself a good number of questions. Maybe as a parent, as a teacher, as a recharge shop owner, or a mobile manufacturer, or as a serious society concerned person, you are getting a lot of questions on this particular use, the use of heavy use of mobile phones among the students, among the faculty members, among the housekeeping persons. So when you get such kind of situations, you think about exploring it. You think about finding a solution to a particular problem. Maybe the immediate problem that needs your attention, or maybe by doing a research you like to frame a theory, a new theory which was not there before. So dear friends, basically research is nothing but whenever you want to discover something, whenever you are trying to invent something very new, if you follow all the scientific or systematic procedures, then you can say it is a research. Or sometimes you take an old concept and try to interpret that old concept in the context of present digital world. You take the old concept, try to interpret it in the modern world. Even that becomes a kind of research. See, for example, I can do small research just with the help of you all. I can just ask you, how many of you want to have idli for breakfast? How many of you want dosa? How many of you want chapati? Over. My research is over. You can ask me, sir, is it a research? Yes, it is a research. See, once you collect data from a group of students, for example, let us assume that I have collected this data from some 100 plus students of Sri Narayana Guru College. So what I do, I just find out which is the most favorite food of the students of this particular college. I found out that chapati, maybe chapati is the most favorite breakfast for most of the students. And the idli is a food that is not wanted by most of the students. They don't want idli. Very good. What I do is that I'll write small introduction, a review of literature. I write objectives. I frame some hypotheses. I test the hypothesis and I give some suggestions. What is suggestion? If at all Sri Narayana Guru College is going to have a canteen in the college campus, see that you are making more of chapatis, you are making less of idlis. Fine. Very good. My conclusion is over. So very, very simple. So research is very, very simple, but that simple process is to be done with a lot of care in a very, very systematic and scientific way. Fine. So your research can be either a small class assignment being done by a student, or it can be a PG project, or it can be an MPhil dissertation done by a student, or it can be a PhD thesis prepared by you or your scholar, or it can be a postdoctoral research work, or even something like some of you may apply for some science projects, UG minor project, major projects, all those things. You get projects, you do research. Some people, they prepare journal articles, they prepare papers for conferences, seminars, they prepare papers for various book chapters. So all these things constitute what we call as research activities. Fine, good. There's no doubt in it. But when you are trying to do your research, either before you start your research or while you are doing the research or after completing your research, you need lot of assistance. Okay. So a couple of years before the arrival of these so-called digital world, Google, all those, Geo, all those things and all, we used to heavily depend on two things. Either you depend on printed resources, maybe a printed journal, a printed book, you go to library, you take the resources, you sit and read. That is one kind of tool. The other tool is we were heavily depending on our own senior professionals, our teachers, our friends, those who are doing research in the same area. So these are two major sources used for our research. Whenever you have got any doubt, whenever you want to conduct any phase of your research, you depend on these major sources for getting clarifications, for making your research better. But thanks to the availability of online technologies, online tools, thanks to what we call as OA movement, open access movement, what happens is that a good number of tools have become available to the people online free of cost. You need not pay any money. If you are having a single internet connection, I'm sure, pretty sure that your research work is going to be very, very simple because such an n number of tools are available for you that can be used by you so that your research work becomes simple, effective, and efficient. Fine. In today's class, I have taken few categories of online tools that can be used by you to carry out your research activities, your research work in a much more simpler, much more economical, much more effective manner. Fine. And in fact, I'm just not going to talk much on theoretical background of all these tools. I've brought out the screenshots of all these different kinds of tools. You can have a glance on all these tools, maybe a bit later. When you're having a time, you can sit relaxingly, you can try to make use of these tools for your research purpose. If you're a teacher, then you can learn these tools. These tools can be taught to your PhD or MPhil scholars. Fine. A good number of tools are there. I have categorized them under many set of groups. Let me begin with alert services. See, when you are doing your research, always we are interested to get updates on our research topic. What kind of research activities, research papers are published on my topic recently? So what we normally do in those days, we used to go to library once in a month or once in fortnight. We just go and ask them whether have you got any new book, have you got any new journal on my topic. You have to go and inquire. That was a practice. But nowadays you can have your own alert service. That means you can create an alert in such a manner whenever a new article is published, whenever a new piece of literature is added online, automatically you will get a mail. So that kind of service is called as alert services. Let me talk to you about 3 different kinds of alert services. All are free. One is Google Scholar Alert, then Journal TOC, then RSS feeds. Let me begin with Google Scholar Alert. Everybody knows about Google Scholar. Let me go to Google Scholar. Good. Just go to Google, type Google Scholar, you get Google Scholar. In Google Scholar, left side, there is a menu where there is an option for alert. Click on alerts. Here, it is asking what is the email ID to which we have to send the alerts. You can choose any one of your email ID and then you can click on create alert. I just clicked on create alert. My first research area is institutional repository. So I'm telling Google, whenever any information, any research paper is added to Google about institutional repository, immediately I should get the alert message in my email box. Fine. I have set it. Then you can click on number of results, whether you want a 10 results or 20 results max, you can choose. Then you can click on create alert. You can see here, I have created one alert in Google Scholar. Let me create a second one. Click on create alert. This time I typed information literacy, my second favorite topic. That means I am doing some kind of research on information literacy. I want the Google Scholar to intimate me whenever a new article on information literacy is made available in Google Scholar. Fine. Once you type the query, you can click on create literacy, create alert. Now you can see here, I have created 2 alerts. Fine. Now let me take you to my email box. My email box, as it was seen yesterday, you can see here, Google Scholar alert, information literacy, new results. Yesterday morning 3:59, I received a alert from Google Scholar. So whatever may be the area on which you are doing your research, you can create a good number of alerts so that you need not go to Google Scholar and search for materials now and then. Instead, Google Scholar will have a watch on these topics. Whenever a new article comes to Google Scholar, immediately it will send a mail to you. You can make use of Google Scholar alert. Fine. And secondly, journal TOC. You know what is TOC? TOC stands for table of content. You know, you take any journal. In the front page, there is something called table of contents where they will list you the names of all the papers along with the authors and page numbers of that particular volume, particular issue. Fine. See, just to go to Google and type journal TOC, you'll get the website. Okay, fine, good. You go to the website. This is a website of journal TOC. Here, see, they are having a collection of more than 34,700 journals, of which 17,000 journals are open access journals, 12,000 plus journals are hybrid journals, and these journals are from 3,700 publishers. You can ask me a single question. Sir, what shall I do with this particular site? Very simple. You have to go and create an account over there. Once you create an account over there, you can follow 20 journals. You can go and select 20 journals of your discipline so that whenever a new issue is published in any one of those 20 journals, automatically the table of content of that particular journal will be reaching your mail ID. So what you can do is that you can go through the table of contents. If you feel that is there any article which is relevant to my research work, then you can go and try to get that particular article. This is a TOC service, a free service. Fine, good. So I think let me come to this particular portion. The home page, there's an option for search. You click on search. Here you can search for journals. You can search for articles. Since they are covering more than 17,000 open access journals, even full text paper are also available. You can try. First, let me begin with journals. I just clicked on These are the various options available in the home page. Fine. I just typed information literacy. I want to know what are the various journals that are available in journal TOC. Okay, I just typed information literacy. You click on go. You can see 4 journals are available on the topic information literacy. Fine, I got 4 results. Now what I can do is that 2 options are there. Okay, in the same way, you can search for articles also. I just typed information literacy. I clicked articles. I clicked go. You can see I could get around 869 articles on information literacy. You can try this way also. Fine. In the same way, here all those 34,000 journals are arranged in the alphabetical order of subjects, starting from advertising, agriculture, anthropology. In the alphabetical order, all the 34,000 journals are listed. You can go and browse. That is one way. In the other way, all these 34,000 journals are arranged in publishers A to Z. All the publishers you can go and search. For example, if you are interested to know what are the various Oxford journals that are available in journal TOC, you can go and find out. It's very, very simple. Fine. For example, I just wanted to know what journals are available on my research area called artificial intelligence. I typed artificial intelligence. I selected journals. 38 journals are there. What you can do is that in the left side, there is a white box. If you check this box, it means that you are following this particular journal. For example, I selected one journal called Artificial Intelligence Research. You can see here journals you are following. That means that you can go and search for a journal. You can select that journal to follow it. Up to 20 journals you can select, so that even if a particular journal is publishing a particular issue, immediately the TOC of that particular journal will knock and reach your mailbox. Fine, good. And secondly, I have selected one more journal, Journal of Machine Learning Research. So I am following now 2 journals. This way you can follow maximum of 20 journals. Fine. If you click the journal, I just clicked on Journal of Machine Learning Research. You can see here the table of contents of that particular journal. If that journal is happening to be an open access journal, then if you click on a particular article, you will be able to download the full version of the entire article. Absolutely no problem. Fine. Okay. Is it clear? I think it's clear to you. And here you can click and you can come out. So what is second one? Journal TOC. You can go and create account for you. You can follow up to maximum 20 journals. Whenever an issue is published over there, you will be notified via your mail. The second way of getting alerts. And third way, a very, very popular one is RSS feed reader. RSS stands for Rich Site Summary or Really Simple Syndication. Okay, that means nowadays a good number of blogs or journal websites or newspaper vendors, all those people, they are offering their RSS feeds. If you are having an aggregator, if you are having a feed reader, what you can do is that you can go and subscribe to all those RSS feeds. If you are subscribing to 10 or 15 journals RSS feeds, whenever a new article is published over there, automatically your RSS feed reader will catch all those new feeds, new releases, new publications. You will be notified. That is the philosophy behind this RSS feed reader. Good. Let's go to Google, type online feed reader. There is a website called feedreader.com/online. You can go to that particular site. You can create your account over there. Fine. I just created my account. And this is the home page of that online feed reader. You can see here, add a new feed. You are new to RSS feeder. You click on add a new feed. You can go and find out the RSS feeds. For example, I just went to Dinamalar paper. In Dinamalar paper, they are providing RSS feeds for all these things. Political news, general news, court news, special news, Delhi news, world news. Whatever feed you want, you can select. For example, I select one particular news called cinema news. Once you click that particular icon, you will reach this particular page. You can copy the URL of this particular page. Fine. What I've done is that I have found out the RSS feed that I required. I clicked on that. I copied the URL, and this URL will be pasted here. Once you click add a new feed, this box appears. You can paste the URL, and then you can create category. See, for example, if you are doing a research on nanotechnology, you can collect 10 or 15 RSS feeds on nanotechnology that can be placed under a single folder called category. You can click on create new category. I just typed as news items and then I clicked on OK. You can see here news item. Under the folder news item, this particular Dinamalar RSS feed will be available. Okay, and click on add the feed. You can see here whatever at present, whatever current news is going on in Dinamalar Assam now in this particular minute, that news can be read by you using your RSS feeder. Two options are there. This is an expanded version. If you click on collapsed version, you can see all the cinema related news as available in Dinamalar in small lines. If you click any one particular news, you'll be able to access the full text of the entire news. So this way, you can add as many RSS feeds as you like. For example, I just went to Hindu RSS feed. Many RSS feeds are in Hindu. I selected international news. I copied the URL and you can see all the news. Fine. For example, there is a blog called Kendriya Vidyalaya. There is a blog. I'm interested to get updates from this particular blog. That means whenever a new item is posted in this particular blog, automatically I will get a message. Fine. So here there's an option called subscribe RSS feed. You can click on that. URL appears. You can copy the URL and you can paste here. You can see all the entries, latest entries of that particular blog will appear here. In the same way, there are RSS feeds for various journals. For example, I just went to Oxford Journals. I click on journals A to Z or journals by subject. You select any one's journal. I selected American Journal of Hypertension. Click on issues. You can see RSS feeds. Whether you want RSS feeds for latest issue or advanced articles or only open access articles of this particular magazine, you can choose. For example, I clicked on open access. You can see this is a URL. I copy the URL. I have come and pasted. So what happens here? All the articles, open access articles, whatever is getting published in that particular journal, automatically the entire information will come and sit in my feed reader. Fine, good, that's clear. The same way, if you click that particular article, here there's an option, an arrow is there. If you click the arrow, since it's an open access materials, the entire full text can be seen by you, absolute no problem. If you want to rename the feeds, you can rename the feeds. Or if you want to come out, click on settings and you can click on logout, you can come out. So using this RSS feeder, you can go and collect the RSS URLs of various journals that can be stored in a single RSS feed reader, so that you need not go and visit Oxford journals, Springer journals, Taylor and Francis journals now and then. Instead, you just come to RSS feeder. You can see all the updates of all RSS feeds in a single platform. Good. Okay. My second category consists of online file compression, online file transfer, and online file storage. When you talk about compression, especially when you're doing research, you collect a lot of articles, full text articles, PDF materials, HTML materials, audios, videos. So your capacity, the file capacity will be increasing day by day. So what you can do is that you can compress the storage capacity of your files so that the file size can be reduced and that can be stored very conveniently, that can be shared very conveniently, that can be carried forward very conveniently. So that's what called as file compression. Fine. So there is a beautiful site called ezyzip.com. Let me go to that particular website. This is a website, ezyzip file. So here, zip file online. You can choose a file. I just click on choose files. I have selected 1, 2, 3. I have selected 3 files. You click on open. What happens? All the 3 files appear here. You click on zip files. So what's going to happen? All these files will be zipped into a single folder that can be shared very easily with all your faculty members. Good. Yes. Now it's asked save zip file. You can save it. Absolutely no problem. The file is saved here. There is one option. Apart from that, even you can create zips for folders also, not only for files, even a particular folder also can be zipped. Even that is also possible under this particular online tool. Then comes unzip. Suppose your friend or your teacher is sending you a zipped file in some other formats. What you can do is that file can be unzipped. You can unzip either zip file or RAR file, ISO file or tar file, jar file. So all these files can be unzipped so that you'll be able to read the contents of those files. That is possible. Fine. I just click on choose to unzip a zip file. Click on choose file. Here there is a file which RAR file is there. I want to unzip this file. You select this particular file. Click on extract. You can see all these 11 or 12 files which are available in that RAR file are extracted. All those 11 individual files are listed. You can go and save each and every file separately, absolutely no problem. So both are there. That means single set of files can be zipped. A set of files which are zipped can be unzipped. So both can be done using this particular software. Even this particular online tool, they have converter option. You can convert one format, compression format to another compression format. Something like tar to zip or tar.xz to zip. So many different converters are available. You can make use of it if you want. For example, I want to convert a RAR file into a zip file. I have chosen the option. Click on choose file. You can choose this particular RAR file. Convert to zip. It is ready. File is ready. So that you can always do, no problem. Fine. And secondly, there are some online tools that will help you to transfer your files. So sometimes you may feel that your Google Mail is having lot of mails, lot of space, and now there's no more storage capacity. I'm not able to send larger files. I'm not able to send file size of more than 1 GB, something like that. No, if you have such kind of problems, then you can definitely make use of all these free online file transfer mechanisms. For example, go to WeTransfers. You click on login if you're already having an account. Otherwise, you can sign up by agreeing to them. Once it is over, it's very simple. What you can do is that after entering your username and password, here you have to enter the email address to which you have to send the file, your own email ID, and whatever message you want to give it to your recipients, you can give. Then you can select either files or you can select folders. Both are permitted. Fine. So for example, I have selected things. I just clicked on add files. I have selected this particular file. Good. The file has come. Click on transfer. So what happens? The file is transferred to whatever mail ID you have indicated here. So once it is transferred, you come to the home page, your home page. There you will get the link, copy link. You can click this particular link. The link can be shared with your friend. Otherwise also your friend might have received the information in his mailbox. For example, you can see here, if for example, you have got the link, that link you are sending to your friend. If your friend is pasting that link in any of the browsers, automatically your friend will get this particular screen. He can click on download. The file can be downloaded. That means you have not mailed it. You have sent the file over online file transfer mechanisms. That's one option. Good. And whatever link you send it to them, that will be live for 7 days. On the 8th day, your link becomes invalid. That means whatever files you are sending to others, they should be downloading your paper within 7 days. That is the condition under WeTransfers. Good. You can see the mail ID. I have sent it to them and they have successfully received it. Fine. You can ask one more thing. Sir, I don't want to send the entire mail. Okay. I want only send a link to them. That is also possible. What you can do is that after adding the file, you can click on get a link button so that only link will be available with you. So this particular link. So this link can be just you can copy it. You can WhatsApp to your friend. That's it. So that friend will click and he'll be able to download the entire file. And you can send files up to 2 GB. 2 GB files can be sent at a time under WeTransfer. Good. And there is one more thing called Jump Share. This is a very good site for online file transfer. Fine. Here, once you log in, you can upload individual files. You can upload folders. Fine. No, absolutely no problem. New folder, upload files, upload folder. You can upload links. All these things are possible. For example, I'm going to, I have uploaded a couple of files here. Okay. Whatever files I have uploaded, these files can be shared to others. These files can be transferred online to my friends. So I just selected a file. Okay. Here there are options. Copy link, share. If you click on copy link, the link will be shared. Link copy to clipboard. And this link can be shared with whatever number of email IDs you are pasting here. So whatever people you want to share you this particular file, you can paste or type all the email IDs. You can click on send automatically. These files will be sent to all the email IDs. Fine. Even you can schedule also. For example, you want to send the file only tomorrow morning 4 o'clock exactly. So exact tomorrow 4 o'clock, the file will be sent to a particular person. So that is very much possible. And you can come out fine. Then the very popular Dropbox, you will be knowing. Dropbox is something like similar to other cloud storage mechanisms, where you can go on to store all your files for the purpose of preservation. But if you want to share your file also, you can share. For example, you are having a file. Okay, you are a research scholar. You have prepared something. You want to share this folder with your research supervisor. You can share it. If you are sharing it, a link will be sent to your research supervisor. Your research supervisor will be able to open the file. You can also see, edit, delete, add, comment. Your research supervisor also will be able to add, comment, delete all those things. So both of you will be able to work on an individual file which is available in your Dropbox, but you have shared that particular file with your research supervisor. Fine. So here you can upload files, you can upload folder, no problem. These are the files I am having in my Dropbox. If you click on all the files will be available. Here there's an option for create shared folder. You click on create shared folder. All the folders will be available. You can choose either a file or a folder which you want to share with the people concerned. Okay, you can choose a file. For example, I have selected a folder called pension letters. You click on next, and what kind of permission you can give to others, whether others can only see or others can see and add, or others can see, they can add, they can delete, they can modify, they can comment. So that 3 different kinds of provisions are there. I have just clicked the can edit. That means my recipient also will be able to edit all my file content. Fine. Click on share. You can see here shared pension letters. Once you have shared, you can see the mailbox. Okay, you have shared this particular message with so and so. That message is available. So you can make use of all these 3 different online tools, either for the purpose of compressing your files so that your storage capacity can be reduced, or you can use tools for the purpose of sending larger files to your research supervisor or to your friends. And thirdly, there's a wonderful cloud storage mechanism which can be used by you called Dropbox. Fine. Next set of tools called online translation. I would like to talk about 2 things. One is Google Translate and other is Google Docs. Because see, many of us have completed our school education Tamil medium. So sometimes when you do a PhD research, when you download papers, in fact, a good number of research papers are available in English. So sometimes you may not be able to understand few paragraphs, few sentences, or you are asked to write a letter in a particular language you are not familiar with. So all those cases you can make use of these online translations. Okay, I just went to Google Translate. Google Translate has got 2 parts, left side, right side. The left side I have selected English. The right side I have selected Tamil. Fine. By default, text is there. You can go on to type or paste your text. Automatically that will be converted into Tamil. Maximum you can at a time you can submit 5,000 words for the purpose of this translation. And here is an option, turn on voice input. If you click that, you can speak whatever you speak, so that will be entering in the left side box, and its translated Tamil content will be available on the right side. For example, speaking, dear friends, welcome to the session. So automatically that will be translated into Tamil. So for example, if you want to draft a letter, you need not sit and write. You just come to Google Translate, you speak slowly, you speak. Automatically that will be translated into any kind of your chosen desired language. Fine, good. You can turn off by clicking it once again. And here in Google Translate, if you just go and type go, it gives you all the possibilities. What is the meaning of go? Good morning, good afternoon, all those possibilities. Synonyms of go as a verb, as a noun, all those possibilities are there. Sometimes right side, see, a particular content is translated. If you want to listen to it, just click on this speaker. you'll be able to listen to what is translated and what is available on the right side of Google Translate box. And you can copy the translation. You can just click it. The translation is copied. You can go to a file and you can paste it. So this can be translated. And apart from that, you can share. So after your translation is over, the translated content can be emailed to your friends, or it can be shared via Twitter. Both are possible. In the same way, you can do a translation of the entire document also. For example, you have got one PhD which is written in English. You want to translate the entire PhD into Tamil. So you can follow this. You click on documents. They are asking you to upload. Either you can upload DOC file or PDF or PPT or RTF. All these files can be uploaded. Fine. For example, I have just selected this particular file. File is available. You click on translate. You see, the entire unit, my 5th chapter of my PhD work is translated into Tamil. So what I want to say is that either few sentences can be translated, or you can speak, that can be translated, or the entire document what you have can be uploaded and that can be translated into chosen language. All these things are possible in Google Translate. Fine. Okay. And here, if you take your cursor, it shows you the English word and it is asking, do you want to give better translation for this particular word? If you want, even you can contribute a better translation of this particular sentence. Even that is permitted. Fine. If you want to copy, you can copy this and you can paste. Absolutely no problem. And history. If you click on history, whatever translations you have done all these days, all the translation history of yours can be seen. Fine. Good. Then comes Google Docs. You know, you'll be knowing about Google Docs, Google Slides, all those things. Come to Google Docs. I got all my documents. Otherwise, you can click and click on these 3 lines. You will get to upload a new file. You can upload the file. Once the file is uploaded, you can select the file. The file is opened in Google Docs online. What you can do is that just go to the menu bar. There's a menu called Tools. Click on Tools. The menu appears there. Translate document. There's an option. You click on Translate document. All the languages appear. I have chosen Tamil. You can see the entire document is translated into Tamil. So Google Docs can be used for this. And here go to File. Click Download. You can download the translated version, the Tamil version of the document as a DOC or ODT or RTF, any of this file, you can save it. So both are very useful for translation. You can try. Fine. Next set of tools, online grammar check. See, in fact, I can say that most of us are not that much good in English. We commit mistakes while constructing sentences in English. Okay. So how to make correction? 2 possibilities are there. Either you have to go to somebody who are good, proficient in English. You have to request them. Otherwise, you can make use of such kind of tools like Ginger and Grammarly. Both are very good. Let me show you both of you. Just go to Google and type Ginger free grammar check. Fine. The website appears. This is a website homepage of Ginger grammar checker. See, Ginger is I should say it is a multi-talented online software that helps you to check the grammatical errors of your paper. So for example, what are the various kinds of things it checks? If there is a problem with the subject verb agreement, it will automatically correct it. If there are problems with the singular and the plural nouns, we have used instead of singular, use the plural, or instead of plural, use singular, it will automatically correct it. Or if you are using consecutive nouns, that will make the corrections. If you are using some words you have misused, it will correct all those words automatically. For example, I just wrote, I was wondering if there is any news, but actually it should be wondering. So it will automatically change it. It will ask you, of course. If you say yes, it will be changing it. Not only that, it is very, very clever because they are following artificial intelligence. They have got something called contextual spelling correction. So based, the system will read the sentence and accordingly it will make its corrections. For example, you have typed something like this. The marble statue had a big head. What it will say, it will suggest you. Do you want the sentence to be rewritten as the marble statue had a big head? So contextually it will find out. If you write, I like books, especially the classics, it will be asking you whether I will change this particular word as especially. Instead of flew, F-L-E-W, by mistake you typed flied. It will point out all these kinds of contextual spelling mistakes also, and it will tell you beautiful service. See, this is a home page. You can choose whether you want US English or UK English, first step. And second step, so I typed a sentence. I want to kill you at once. Just sentence. Okay, click on ginger it. It tells you, okay, it has got a mistake. What is a mistake? It says that some problem is there. What is the problem? It says that I want. Okay, you typed I wants. The gingerly says that it should be I want. So it is correcting the mistake and tells you what is the correct way of writing an English sentence. Okay, fine. For example, I pasted a paragraph. After pasting the paragraph, you click on ginger it. It will be checking. See, I've done the researcher have adopted. Ginger says you've done a mistake. It should be the researcher has adopted. So even if you paste the paragraph also, it will check all the mistakes and tell you. You can click on copy to clipboard. You can go and copy it in wherever place you want. Absolutely no problem. Fine, good. That's about Gingerly. You can make use of it so that you're not afraid. Even if you're writing a letter to your principal, you're writing a letter to a higher institution authority, no, you can write a draft letter. You can come to Gingerly. You can paste that content. You can ginger it, find out the mistakes, correct them, and you can go and submit your higher authority. Absolutely no problem. Fine. Then comes the very popular Grammarly. This is a home page of Grammarly.com. You click on login. You can log in either with Facebook or Google, all those things and that. So I have logged in. Continue to Grammarly. It's free. I am in now. Okay. For example, here I just typed a sentence. Okay. I want to come and talk to you tomorrow at any cost. It says, it gives you, there are two mistakes. One is I. It says that I is in small letters. That is to be changed as a capital letter. First suggestion. Second suggestion says that you have written as wants. That is not correct. There is a problem with the verb. The form of the verb is to be changed. It says, if you click on further, see here arrows are there. If you click on that, it says you that if you click your hover your mouse over I, it will be automatically changed. Okay, I will be changed. Fine, good. It is corrected. This way you can correct a single sentence. Okay, wants, it says that it should be want. They are giving an explanation. They say that after I want should not be written, only want is to be written. There is a mismatch. So they will tell you the reason also, and then they will correct all the mistakes. Fine. And here in the top left most, you can see a menu. You click on menu. There you can upload a file. Not only one line, you can upload your entire file for the purpose of checking its grammar free. You can click on upload file. Okay, good. I am uploading one particular file called GRA output analysis. Fine. You can see here 72 grammatical mistakes or possible corrections are recommended by this particular Grammarly. You can go on to check on each and every mistake. You can correct it. Now 72 are there. I just reduced to 66. This way, around you can sit and correct each and every mistake. If you feel that that is okay, whatever Grammarly is suggesting is good, you say okay, it is getting corrected. It's very, very simple. Before you hand over your research paper to a journal or to your research supervisor, you can always check the grammatical part of your research paper using such kind of free tools. Fine. Once corrections are done, you can click on download. Then the downloaded paper will be downloaded. The corrected paper downloaded, you can submit it. Fine, good. Here, the Grammarly, they are providing one option called the add-on is available. If you go to Chrome Web Store, Grammarly for Chrome, you click on, it will be installed. It will be in a green color add-on. If that green color add-on is available, the plus point is that even if you're writing your mail also, if you commit any mistakes, Grammarly will point out and tell you, because we have added one add-on called Grammarly in your Chrome browser. Then even that is also possible. Fine. Then comes rewritertools.com. For example, there are some people, they want to paraphrase. So you have copied something from website. You want to paraphrase it. What you can do is that you can come and paste your original text. That will be paraphrased. Fine. Even that for the purpose of paraphrasing also, a good number of tools are available. Fine. Good. That's about online translations and that. Then let me come to data collection process. See, some of us are doing research in social sciences, and we are indebted to collect data through questionnaires. So we have to give either offline or online questions, and you have to collect the data. Fine. So normally people are using Google Form for the purpose of collecting questionnaire. Google Form is undoubtedly the best one you can use. But since every one of you may be familiar with the Google Form, I'm not going to talk about Google Form. Instead, I would like to talk about Microsoft Form. Microsoft Forms is also free. You need not pay any cost. You can use, as you are using Google Form, you can use Microsoft Forms also. Just go to Google, type Microsoft Forms. You'll get the website. You can sign in, okay, by giving your username, password. It's free, fine. And once you log in, you can see RK, Ramasamy K. You can either create new form or you can create new quiz, okay. I just click on new form. You can give a title for your questionnaire. You can give a small description for your questionnaire, and then you can start adding the questions. How to add the questions? Click on add new. Click on add new. You got 4 different kinds of questions: choice questions, text questions, rating questions, date questions, and some more questions are here that we'll see later. You click on choice questions. You write a question: nativity, Tamil Nadu, other states, something like that. You can options. These are MCQ type of questions. Good. And you can copy this question. You can delete the question. You can move the question up and down using all these options available on the top right corner of each and every question. Here, it is asking whether the question is a must. When students are going to answer these questions, whether it is compulsory for the students to answer this particular question. If you feel that this question is a must question, then you have to click on this required. That means that without answering this question, students may not be able to submit their forms. Fine. Then comes multiple answers. That means the things you want to have for your breakfast. If you want the respondents to give more than one answer, you can click multiple answers, so that, so I just give a click on preview. You can see the same student can select idli, dosha, chapati, because we have permitted multiple answers provision for this particular question. Good. Then comes next question, text question. You can have a text question, name of the institution. They have to give the answer. It can be a long answer. You can decide. Then comes the rating question. Either you can have star mark or you can have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The respondents will be rating that particular question. Okay. Then comes the date question, where a date is going to be the answer. What is your date of birth? So they have to type, or they have to choose from the calendar which is embedded here. Fine. Let us see the preview. Name of the institution, textual question. You can select how many stars you want to give for this particular program. You can select the stars, and date of birth, calendar is available. You can choose the date from the calendar. Good. Then if you want some more questions, on the right side there's a download arrow. Click on download arrow. 3 different questions are there: ranking question, Likert scale question, and net promoter score question. You click on ranking, you can rank. For example, you can be 5 items. You can ask respondents to rank the questions. Fine. For example, I have given Fanta, Coke, Mirinda. Yes, any problem? Ma'am, is there any problem, ma'am?
Sir, I'll look into it, sir. I'll look into it. Okay.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. So the respondents will be able to rank each and every option given by you in the questionnaire. And secondly, in social sciences, we are more bothered about Likert scale questions, either 5-point scale, 7-point scale, or 9-point scale, something like highly satisfied to least satisfied, strongly disagree to strongly agree, such kind of Likert scale questions. So these questions are also can be generated using Microsoft Forms. You click on Likert questions. They are giving you some suggestions, what kind of options you want to give. If you want, you can change it also. If you want to add any additional Likert scale question option, there also can be done. You can add options. Fine. For example, I just created one Likert scale based question. How satisfied you are in regard to the organization of the event in 5-point scale. That is permitted. Then you can set a parameter 0 to 10. You can ask the respondent to rank a particular item based on 0 to 10. Even that is also permitted. Fine. And once all these things are done, questions are ready. You click on themes. Many background options are available. You can choose one thing. And secondly, if you click on send option, you can find out the link which can be sent to your respondents. You can copy the link which can be sent through mail or WhatsApp. You can copy the link. Otherwise, you you can get QR code. If you click this particular button, QR code button, you will be getting the QR code for this particular form questionnaire. You can download the QR code. This QR code can be sent to all your respondents. If your respondents are scanning the QR code, this Microsoft form will appear. They can fill the questions. Fine. Even that is permitted. You can embed it. That means you can copy this entire content. This content, I mean, this can be pasted in your home website, in your institutional website, so that students can be asked. They'll come to your library website or your institutional website online. They'll go and fill the forms. Even that is also possible in Microsoft Office. Fine. So that's about the form. Then after filling the form, the respondent will click submit. It will be submitted. Okay, gone. You can see a response 1. That is, one student has responded. What you can do is that you can go on to see what kind of response is being given by that particular respondent. If you want to download the pictures, you can save the images, no problem. If you want to open the Excel, you can click on open in Excel. That is, the entire response will be opened in MS Excel. Fine. Then you can sign out. I think whatever I told you looked very similar to Google Form. If you feel that instead of using Google Form, occasionally you can make use of Microsoft Forms also. It is also equally very good. Fine. Then. And next comes my next set of tools for online sample size calculator and statistical analysis. See, a big problem which lies with the social science researcher is that the problem in selecting the sample size. So many a time we have got lots of problems in selecting the exact or recommended sample size for your research work. To select the sample size judicially with using proper formulae, we have got a good number of online tools. For example, just go to Google and type RAWSoft sample size. RAWSoft is a sample size calculator. It is available online. You just go there and fix these things. Margin of error, how much you want. Default 5 is there. You can change 6, 7, 8 or 10, whatever it may be, or 1. Confidence level, it can be 95, 99, 90. These are the traditionally set confidence levels you can choose. And here you can set your population size. If you know your population size exactly, you can type 2100. If you type your population, then the software will tell you what is the minimum recommended sample size for your research study. So, dear friends, if your population is 2100, minimum you have to collect data from 325 respondents. Good. Okay. If your population is 10,000, then 370. If your population is 1 lakh, then also 383. Fine. You can easily find out. They are making use of this particular formula to calculate sample size. Then just go to Google, type SurveyMonkey. SurveyMonkey sample size calculator. This is another sample size calculator which is freely available. You go to SurveyMonkey, click on sample size calculator. You can type your population size. You can choose the confidence level. You can choose the margin of error. Then SurveyMonkey tells you what is the minimum recommended sample size for your research work. Good. For 10,000, sample size is 370. For 10,000, when confidence level is kept as 99, the sample size is 625. When sample size is 96, the sample size is 383 when confidence level is fixed at 96. So this way you can do it based on your research purpose. And apart from that, very simply, just go to Google and type Gridges-Morgan sample size table. A very simple one. Only one page table is there. This table tells you what should be your sample size. N stands for population. S stands for sample size. For example, if your population is 2000, the recommended sample size is 322. If your population is 6000, sample is 361. If your population is 20,000, the sample size 377. This one page table is sufficient for most of us to decide what should be my sample size. Fine. So you can make use of any of these three tools for the purpose of selecting the sample size. Okay, fine. Then what about the statistical tools? So don't get afraid of tools like SPSS or R, Python, all those things. Fine. See, we have got a good number of online tools which can be used for carrying out all types of statistical analysis. Okay, for example, I would like to show you only one tool called SCI statistics. It's a beautiful site. You click on this particular site, and this is a home page of this online statistical calculator. Good. Yes. You click on descriptive statistics. You know, statistics has got two things. One is descriptive and the other is inferential. Descriptive means mean, median, mode, curvature, skewness, all the charts, bar chart, all those things, they come under descriptive statistics. What is inferential statistics? That is based on the population, based on the sample, you are drawing a conclusion. You take sample from few students. Based on the sample, you draw a conclusion that may be applicable to the entire population. So that kind of hypothesis testing statistical tools are called inferential statistics, like independent sample test, one-way ANOVA, two-way ANOVA, or correlation, Mann-Whitney, Kruskal-Wallis, all those things are considered as inferential statistics. So let me begin with the descriptive statistics. I click on descriptive statistics. I am choosing mean, median, and mode calculator. Fine. First, they are giving an explanation. What is mean? What is median? What is mode? Then they're asking what is the type of data. So I'm selecting number. So I'm going to give some numbers. For those numbers, I want to get mean, median, mode. I just click on interval or ratio. There is number data. Either you type the data or paste the data. Then you click on calculate and they will calculate mean, median, mode in a second. Fine. So this way, for example, you want to draw a chart. Click on descriptive statistics. Click on bar chart creator and you can go and type male 50, female 29, third gender 4. After typing this information, you click on create bar chart. See, a beautiful chart is created. Even you can make it better. You can copy it. You can save this or you can edit it. If you want to edit it, you can go and edit it by changing the size, by giving the name for x-axis or y-axis, by giving the title for your figure. You can do all those things. Display bar values, you can say difference. The title has come, x-axis name, y-axis name, the bar value, all these things are there. So even the entire descriptive statistics can be done online, absolutely no problem. Fine. Then comes calculators. If you want to get hypothesis testing statistical tools, that is inferential statistical tools, you click on calculators. Hundreds of statistical tools are available, starting from one-way ANOVA, I-squared, Fisher test, Leibniz test, Mann-Whitney, we have t-test, z-score calculator, regression, correlation, p-values, confidence intervals, many more are there. Let me show you only one. By selecting I-squared calculator for 2x2 table, contingency table, how to create I-squared. It's very simple. When you click I-squared 2x2, this table appears. You can rename it male, female, like ice cream, don't like ice cream. You want to test the hypothesis. Fine. Is there any difference between male and female with regard to their taste, their likeness towards ice cream? Fine. You can type the data. Fine. I just type the data. Male, how many like ice cream? How many don't like ice cream? Females, how many like ice cream? How many don't like ice creams? After typing this data, click on next. You can set the significant level. Then click on calculate I-squared. So it is available. What is I-squared statistics? What is the p-value? Whether it is significant or not. Fine. It's very simple. It's calculator. But many a times we are not able to report the statistics properly. So how can I scientifically report my statistical results? You click on how to report the I-squared results. Click on that. They tell you with an example how you can write an interpretation for a I-squared statistical result. Very simple. Fine. The last one, a beautiful one. See, many a time we are not able to understand which statistical test is to be used for which particular occasion. We are not able to find out. So this online tool will help you. You click on which statistical test. You select the type of data, whether relationship or differences, whether you are comparing more than one sample or only one sample, whether it is an independent measure or repeated measures, whether two samples or more than two samples. So if you are giving all the conditions, then software is suggesting you for whatever conditions you have given. The opt tool is t-test if the data is normal. The data is not normal, you have to go for Mann-Whitney U-test. It's a very beautiful online statistical calculator. It's 100% free. You can kindly make use of it. Fine. Then comes online reference manager. See, when you are preparing a review of literature or the research paper, at the end of the research paper, you have to go and give the list of references in any one style. In American Psycho, APA style, MLA style, Chicago style, Durabian style, IEEE style, Nature style, Vancouver style. In any one particular style, your references have to be arranged. To do so, a good number of online tools are available. EZBib is there, Google Scholar is there, Sitefast is there. Let me show you all those things. Just go to Google and type EZBib. The website appears. Here you can automatically fetch reference for any particular item if you are knowing the URL or ISBN number, a DOI number, digital object identifier number, PubMed ID, archive ID or title. If you know any one of these, just paste it here. ZB will automatically bring the reference for you. For example, I just typed one ISBN number. I click on site. You can see the ISBN number is appearing as a reference here. See, by default, all the references are arranged in MLA, Modern Language Association 8th edition. No problem. If you want to change it, give a click on this arrow mark. They are having more than 9,700 styles. You can go and choose any style. Once you prepare a reference, you can change the reference in any one of these 9,700 styles without retyping. Absolutely no problem. Fine. All the 9,700 appears. I just typed IEEE. All the IEEE styles appear. You can choose. Absolutely no problem. Fine. Here, copy citation. If you give a click on this, the citation will be copied. Click on copy citation. Here you can choose. It is a book. Yes, it is a book. It tells you how in-text citation should be written. See, there are two things. See, maybe in your research paper, in the third page, you are writing review of literature. There you will write the author's name and year of publication. That is called author date system. How to write author date system in text reference? You can copy from this. Okay, copy citation and you can go on to paste. It's very simple. If you want to delete this, just click on this in button. This will be deleted. Fine. Suppose if you want to copy the citation, you can copy or you can export. You can copy the entire citation as a RTF file or as a Zotero file or RIS file. All those things are there. Or just simply click on copy to clipboard. It is copied. You can go to Word file. You can paste it. Absolutely no problem. Now I just typed DOI, digital objected identifier value of a journal article. You click on site. See, it has come. Now I'm having two. First, I typed ISBN number. I got one reference. Then I typed one DOI number. I got my second reference. Now two references are there. And thirdly, I typed PubMed ID. I got the item. Now, so before you add this particular item to reference, if you want, you can edit also. For example, year is given as 1997, but you want to change it as 1999. What you can do is that just click on edit. This particular page appears. You can go and change the year. You can come back. See, it is changed now. Now I'm having three references which are set in API style. You can choose any style, absolutely no problem. I just typed or pasted archive ID. One more is added. Fine. I just typed URL. For example, you have taken some content from a URL. You can copy the URL and the reference is generated for that URL. Now all the 5 results are available. I can export. I can copy it. I can go to Word, can paste it. So if you go to Word and paste it, since you have selected APA, automatically all the references will be arranged in the alphabetical order. All the articles will be set in the hanging intention. Absolutely, you need not do anything. It's a wonderful site. EZBib, you can make use of it. And here, even you can create a link. Click on create. You can copy the URL or you can view it, no problem. That means a link is created. See, after preparing a list of reference in EZBib, you can create a link. You can share the link with your research supervisor. Your research supervisor will be able to go through that. He may change it. He may comment on it. So that kind of possibility is also available in EZBib. You can try, please. Okay. Apart from that, you can ask a question. Sir, I have taken a reference from a manual, a printed book, which is available in my library. So this book may not be available online. What can be? Very simple. The home page, click on manual entry. You can select whether you want to prepare a reference for a book or a blog post or a book section, computer program, conference paper, whatever may be the source item for which you want to prepare a reference, you can select. I collected journal article. I filled all the particulars. I clicked done. You see, even that is also added, which I manually added. Fine. So both the possibilities are there. EasyBib is a very good software which can be used for generating both in-text citation and list of references in more than 9,700 style manuals. Very simple, superb thing. Then come to Google Scholar. If you come to Google Scholar, for example, I typed COVID-19, all the results have appeared. Here, just below each and every article, you can see a double quote. If you click on this double quote, they are providing reference for that particular research paper in 5 different styles. MLA, APA, Chicago, Harvard, Vancouver. In 5 different styles. You can simply copy and paste. But be cautious. Sometimes the reference given by Google Scholar may not be so good. You can kindly check it before you use it. Okay, fine. Then last one is sitefast.com. These are your online site. You can go to Sitefast. Here, for example, I want to search for some journal articles. You choose journal. You can type the keyword internet use pattern of students. I got some 10 to 15 articles. For example, I have made use of this particular article. I want to create reference for this particular article. So what can I do? I just clicked on this particular article. You can see here, this article is appearing here. Save citation. Okay. The reference for this particular article is generated. It is in APA style. If you want, you can change the style also. You can click on save citations. Fine. Apart from that, you can create references for social media, web image, magazine, television shows, lecture notes, audio podcasts, interviews, reports, newspapers, online videos. So for all these different kinds of materials, you can prepare references using sitefast.com. Even manual version is also available. You click on manual. As you have done in EasyBib, here also you can choose whether you want to create a manual entry for a book or a web page or a journal. I just click journal. You can go and type all the particulars. You can get the reference. So all the 3 tools are very beautiful tools. EasyBib, Google Scholar and Sitefast. You can make use of it. Fine. Yes. I got 2 more set of tools to complete the session. One is online plagiarism checker. So nowadays plagiarism is a concept which is widely talked about in research. If you are taking the content of others, others' methods, others' methodologies, others' objectives, others' findings, others' suggestions, others' images, others' figures, others' suggestions, if you are taking the content from others, you are trying to use all those in your research paper, but you are not properly attributing them. You are not properly crediting them. You are showing that these are my own work. Actually, you copied from others. But in your research work, without giving their names, you are simply pasting, showing that these are all the works done by me. That is called plagiarism. Okay. How to check the plagiarism? Very simple. Authenticatively, we have got a Authenticate or Turnitin or Urkun. You can check. But maybe in the beginning stage where you want to check, you can try these online plagiarism checkers like PaperRater and DupliChecker. For example, I just went to PaperRater. This is a home page. You click on plagiarism checking. Here you can paste. For example, I typed some content, maybe one paragraph. I clicked on get report. They are processing. They give a report. What is the report? This is 100% original. So no problem. Okay, good. And apart from that, there is something called smallseotools.com. Let me go to this particular tool. You click on plagiarism checker. Here, you can paste maximum of 1,000 words. At a time, you can find out plagiarism for 1,000 words. Either you can type or you can paste. Once it is over, we can click on check plagiarism. They will check plagiarism. They'll tell you. They say that your article is 50% copied and 50% it is very unique. Very simple. Good. They are showing you what are the places where you copied things. These are the content you have taken from others. But here they are giving you an option to rewrite the plagiarized content. So whatever content you copied, that is showing as plagiarism. Now what you can do is that you can rewrite it. You can re-paraphrase so that that will not look like plagiarism. You click on rewrite plagiarized content. See, it is rewritten. Check plagiarism. You can see now 0% plagiarism. You can see here. They have made some changes. They have changed sentence structure, or they have changed some words with suitable synonyms. They have done something so that what happens here? Your document now is having 0% plagiarism. Good. Okay. You can compare. See, for example, you are interested. Sir, system says that this is plagiarized content. How can I check? You click on compare. it will be taking you to a original place from where you copied the content. Even you can find out that also. Fine. Click on download report. You can download the entire report. They tell you what is the percentage of plagiarism, what are the plagiarism sentences, what are unique sentences, all those, what are the sources from where you copied. So they give a complete report. Only thing is, it is limited to 1,000 words. Even you can upload a document also. Either you paste the paragraph or you can upload a document. But even that document maximum can have 1,000 words. So that you should remember. Okay. You click on upload document. All these file formats can be uploaded. Good. It is processing. It says what is the report of your plagiarism. Fine. You can click on check plagiarism. It tells you. And then comes duplicate checker. This is another free plagiarism checker. You go here and you can either paste your text or you can upload your file. Both can be done. Once the things are done, you'll be getting the results. But one thing is that, so though I am telling you all these freely available plagiarism checkers, I would suggest you not to go further. There are some problems with these freely available plagiarism checkers. Okay, maybe I will, if time permits, I will tell you something about that later. Try to go for either Turnitin or Authenticate or original or Urkun. That is always better. Fine. Then comes journal selector. See, once you have done all these things, your journal paper is ready, your article is ready, you want to submit your paper. Where to go and submit your papers? Sir, tell me, is there any tool by which I will be able to find out the journals where I may publish my paper? A good number of tools are there. There are some journal finders like Elsevier Journal Finder. You can go here. You can just paste the title, paste the abstract. If you paste your title and abstract, then you can choose a field of search, then click on find journals. So they will tell you. So based on the title, based on the abstract, what are the suitable journals that can be considered by you for your publication? What is the name of the journal? What is the site score? What is the impact factor? What is the acceptance rate? How many weeks they take to give first decision? And how many weeks they take for publishing a paper. Even those particulars also will be available to you. Fine. See, these site score are journal metrics given by Scopus. Impact factor is metrics given by Web of Science. Acceptance rate means if the journal is getting 100 papers, they are accepting only 18 papers. Very, very strict journal. So these particulars will help you to decide whether I will try to publish my paper in this particular journal or not. You can try. Then comes another online journal finder called Journal Suggester from Springer. You can go here. You can type the title. You can type or paste the abstract. You can choose your subject area and you can click on suggest journals. They are telling. So these are the journals that are suggested according to your title and abstract. If you click particular journal, you will understand what is the impact factor, how many days they take first decision, what is the acceptance rate of this particular journal. All those things can be seen. And thirdly, journal finder from Wiley.com. You go to Wiley, a very popular publisher. Go to Wiley. You can paste the title. You can paste the abstract and click on find and you can find out. This is another one called Jane, Journal Author Name Estimator. You can paste the abstract your article here. Click on find journals. They will list you all the possible journals. Fine. I just typed pasted the content. I clicked on find journals. I will get a list of journals. Fine. These are the journals that are recommended by this particular online tool for my research paper. Good. Then comes journal guide. It's a very popular tool. Just go to journal guide, paste the title, paste the abstract, click on search. So they will tell you what are the various journals that match your title and abstract. You just find out. Good. Many options are available. You can decide last 10 years papers. I want only those papers which are available in open access. You can set various parameters. Based on these parameters, the list of journals will be selected. Fine. Good. Then if you are interested to publish your papers in IEEE, please come to publication recommender of IEEE. Here you can go and search for periodicals, search for conferences. Here enter the keywords. Here paste the abstract. Even they will recommend you what are the various IEEE journals or IEEE conferences where your paper can be best published. They give you suggestions. Fine. These are the suggestions. Good. Then very importantly, nowadays all the researchers, they say they are interested to publish the papers in UGC Catalyst. Fine. UGC Catalyst has got two groups. Group 1 journal, Group 2 journals. What are the group 1 journals? All the Indian journals which are screened by the committee, they are included in group 1. What are group 2 journals? All the journals which are indexed in Scopus, in Web of Science, and the journals, the selected journals from MLA Directory of Periodicals. So they form the part and parcel of group 2. You can ask a question, sir, how can I go and find out the journals which are available in Web of Science, which are available in Scopus, related to my subject, related to my particular research paper? It's very simple. You can go and search free of cost. Just go to Google and type WOS, Web of Science Master Journalist, MJL. There is a website called mjl.clarivate.com. Go to the website. There, click on Match Manuscript. You can click on Match Manuscript. You have to create an account. It's free of cost. Once you created the account, here you can type the keywords. You can paste the abstract. Click on Find Journals. All the journals that match your research paper, which are available in Web of Science, will be listed. Fine. All the results are there. If you want, you can see what is the match score. That means 99 point, this particular journal is matching your research paper. Fine. Good. And if you want refine your research, I want to get only journals from India which are indexed Web of Science. The left side filters are available. Go to country, select India, only Indian journals will be listed. Or if you are interested to get to only open access journals, click on only open access. Now only Web of Science indexed open access journals only will be listed. So this way you can go and find out the journals which are available in Web of Science thing. Then comes search journals. In MJL itself, you can go and search for journals. Sir, I am interested in economics, or I am interested in scientometrics. I want to know what are the various journals on scientometrics available in Web of Science platform. It's very simple. Type scientometrics, click on search journals. So all the scientometric journals are available. 6 journals are there. All the 6 journals are there. Fine. So MJL is a reliable source. It is being given by Clarivate Analytics, the company which is hosting Web of Science. You can reliably, you can go and search for journals Web of Science. The same way, if you are interested to publish your papers in Scopus, very simple, another online tool is available. Just go to Scopus Preview. Go to Google, type Scopus Preview. You will be entering into this particular site. Here, click on sources. This is also a free site. Authentic site being maintained by Elsevier. All the 37,000 journals which are indexed in Scopus are available here. You can go and browse. Click on source. You can search for journals based on subject area, title, publisher, or ISSN number. All these tools can be used. I just tried for subject area. I clicked cell biology. I got 383 journals on cell biology as indexed in Scopus. Fine, you can see all the journals. If I want to know more about this particular journal, click on cell metabolism. The journal appears. You can see the score. What is the site score? What is the SJR, SciMago journal rank? What is the SNIP, source normalized impact per publication of this journal? So all the particulars can be seen by you. Then you can take a decision whether I would like to publish my paper in this journal or not. You can take a decision. And how they are calculating site score, even that can be seen by you. So either you can make use of a good number of online journal selectors provided by Wiley or Taylor Francis, Springer, all those people, or you can make use of these authoritative lists like UGC Catalyst Group 1 or MJL or Scopus Preview, so that you will be able to select the opt journal, the most impactful journal for your research publication. But yes. So dear friends, I think I have come to the concluding part of my presentation. So see, whatever I was just showing you, they're all sample tools, I should say, because internet is such a powerful mechanism, a magnetic force, which has got thousands and thousands of tools for research. I've just shown you only a couple of tools that can be used by you for your research. So dear friends, just let us know the tools. You have to go sit in the internet, explore the tools. You should know the tools. Not only that, once you know all these tools, you have to start making use of all these tools whenever you are preparing your research paper. Fine. And after exploring and after using tools, what you have to do, you have to share the importance and usability of these tools with your students. If you are teaching students, Are your fellow researchers, are your friends, your seniors, your research supervisors. You can share whatever new tool you learned, whatever tool you are very proficient. You can share the information about that tool with all these people. Once you started making use of all these tools, I'm sure that you will not spend much time on clerical work, much time on grammatical checking, much work on referencing. Instead of spending much time on all these items, you can concentrate and you'll get more time on the core aspects of your research work. I'm sure that making use of all these tools will help you to create a very, very efficient and effective academic research world. So thank you so much, dear friends. Kindly make use of all these tools. Now, let me finish my presentation, and if you want to ask some questions, and I am waiting for the questions from the participants, please.
Those who would like to have any queries can post the same in the chat box, please.
So either you can place your question in the chat box, or if you are permitted, you can ask the questions directly as it is provided in the online platform, please.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, sir, please.
Yeah, this is Senthil Kinathan from Trichy. And it was
Yes, sir,
really a very, very wonderful session, and really there are so many new things that I'm able to learn it.
Thank you, sir.
One thing is, I had a doubt, like we
Please, sir.
use Mendeley as so far
Yes,
for
sir.
references and other things.
Yes, sir.
Would you suggest whether the Mendeley is okay, or the things what you have shared today will be?
Sir, Mendeley is the best. There is no second opinion. Mendeley is the best platform available now. Next to Mendeley, we have something called Zotero. Both Mendeley and Zotero, both are available as desktop version. They are available as online version. So I told you about one ZBibna, sir. The ZBib is nothing but online version of Zotero. Fine. See, what I personally feel is that, you can use any one of the tools. Either use Mendeley or ZBib Zotero version. Our purpose is we have to save our time, but at the same time, we should be able to prepare the references in the exact style which is required by the journal or the supervisor. But Mendeley is the best. Absolutely no problem, sir.
Right. Thank you. And one more thing, sir. Regarding the plagiarism.
Yes, sir.
Actually, I was using Urkund and Turnitin only.
Okay.
And you also rightly said that instead of going for these free things, I mean, it's of no use, and that would be the better one. And when I checked with the Turnitin directly, that officials, and it costs around 4.5 lakhs, I suppose, a licensed version.
Yes, that is true. That is true. See, those days are getting up, sir. You will not believe. In my own town, my town is not a very big town, but in my own town, there is a college. Okay, they have purchased the Urkund software. Now they are doing it as a service. See, if you are a scholar, you want to publish a paper, you can go to them. They provide you a form. You fill the form. You pay 100 rupees or 200 rupees. They will check it for plagiarism and give it to you. So that kind of service is coming up. You can make use of. Absolutely no problem.
Fine. Right. Really. And there are so many new things I've learned today, and it was a very wonderful session. And thank you for the organizers also. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Kindly share these tools with your students and with your researchers, please.
Sure.
Thank you so much. Yes. Next question, please.
Sir, there is a question in the chat box by Narayana Swami K. The question is how to find out the impact factor of journals using these tools.
So very, very simple. I told you there is an online tool called MJL, Master Journal List.clarivate.com. If you go to this particular tool, you can go and type the name of the journal. You can get the journal if it is indexed in Web of Science. There is something called Journal Citation Report. Under every journal, left side panel, there's an option for JCR, Journal Citation Report. If you click on Journal Citation Report, they will provide you the impact factor of that particular journal. But only one problem is that you will not be getting the 2020 impact factor, but 2019 impact factor you'll get. Okay. But if you want 2020 impact factor, there is no other go. You have to pay money and purchase something called JCR, Journal Citation Report, which is very costly. So no problem. Just make use of MJL, the online tool. This is an authenticated tool from Web of Science. You can make use of this. Next question, please.
Okay, sir. Thank you. So they were asking for your contact mail ID and the PPT for the future references.
I don't have any problem in sharing my mail ID with the participants. And maybe with regard to the PPT, I will send the PPT to the organizers. The organizers may turn it into a PDF file and you can share with the participants. Absolutely no problem.
Okay, sir. Sure, sir.
Yes, participants, any other question, please? You are welcome to ask questions. I think there is no question in the chat box. If no other participant is willing to ask any queries, I think we can end the session. So thank you so much for the organizers for having given me this wonderful opportunity, and thank you participants for your patient listening and your active participation throughout the program. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir, for a new exploration through technology. To conclude the event of day 1, I invite Dr. A. Vijay Chitra for the formal vote of thanks.
I take this opportunity to thank Dr. K. Ramsamy, librarian, MV Mutayya Government Arts and Science College, Dindikal. Sir, it was a wonderful session and thank you so much for spending your valuable time as well knowledge for this and also your presentation was an enlightening one. Your presentation gave us an idea about the additional sources for alert services, file compression, Grammarly checks, statistical analysis, apart from the ones which we normally use. So it was a wonderful session, and you have given us an more inputs for this research tools, sir. Thank you so much, sir. And I also express my sincere gratitude to Principal SNGC for supporting us in all the possible ways. And also I thank all the research R&D research development cell members and the participants for your participation as well as for your cooperation. With this, we come to the end of today's session, and tomorrow also we'll join at the same time. Thank you, one and all. Happy evening.
Excuse ma'am, shall I leave the meeting?
Ma'am, you don't
Yes,
have
sir.
a
Thank you
feedback
so
form?
much, sir.
Is there any
Thank you,
feedback
ma'am. Thank you
form?
so much.
Sir, yes, sir. You can leave, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Participants, we'll post the feedback link now.
Everyone, kindly take a note of the feedback link posted in the chat box.